You're listening to Washington Watch, and I'm Tony Perkins, your host. I'm so glad that you are with us on this Wednesday afternoon. The website, TonyPerkins.com. On Twitter, it's at @TPerkins. All right, earlier in the week, we were talking about the states that have handled the coronavirus health issues and fundamental freedom issues the best. And at the top of the list, we were talking about the state of Texas, how they've threaded the needle in terms of, protecting health, but also respecting fundamental freedoms. Yesterday, the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, along with Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, announced that churches are free to open again, operating under particular guidance. Joining me now to talk more about this is Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Ken, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks. I do want to say I commend you. You were early on in this in making sure that you addressed the fundamental freedom issue, this fundamental freedom of religion, protecting that in the guidance that you gave to the local jurisdictions in Texas. And then yesterday providing more guidance saying it's churches as the declining of hospitalizations and the COVID cases have declined. Texas is ready for business again, and churches included.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Obviously, this is a First Amendment right. The founders consider it very important that people have the right and the ability to worship as they see fit. And we all know we had a crisis on our hands, and the government does have an interest in protecting the health and safety of our people and trying to protect people from dying. So, it was a tough challenge for us, but we tried to take into account, different denominations, and we talked to a lot of different pastors, and we got their input, and we tried to craft something that would still protect people, but also allow for the First Amendment right of assembling to worship.
Well, and I think it's actually well done. I've read through it, and I would say that I think the approach that you are taking in Texas, you and the governor, is very similar to the approach the president has taken. He's given guidance, but he's allowed the states to craft their own policies. And I think what you're doing is you're giving the churches guidance, but you're allowing them to craft their own policies. You're treating them like adults. And if you want cooperation, that's the best way to do it.
I think, it's been a good relationship. I think they appreciate the opportunity to have some input and to help us kind of work through these hard issues that we've never faced before. And I'm really confident that these leaders, these spiritual leaders of our state, will handle this well and balance. Because they don't want people in their churches and synagogues to die. They want to make sure that they're taking care of them both physically and spiritually. It's part of the messages of the Bible. So I'm not concerned that these people will handle this irresponsible in any way.
So, Attorney General Paxton, what interaction have you had with other attorney generals as they look at this issue? Because, quite frankly, as I was mentioning a moment ago, we were talking earlier in the week, kind of dissecting the different positions that states have taken, and we've posted that actually on our website. We've done a kind of a deep dive on that. And you guys are at the top of the list. About half the states have not even addressed the issue of churches and religious freedom in the midst of this crisis.
That's shocking to me, given it's such an important issue in our state. It's something that we've talked about from day one. How are we going to handle this, and how are we going to balance the First Amendment right with the ability to protect people from this virus and do it in the most responsible way? And so it's been a constant shifting of as the virus has changed, and it affects different counties in different ways. And so as we've gone through this process, we've just had to reevaluate pretty much, almost on a daily, at least weekly basis, trying to figure out how we're best going to take care of people. And as far as talking to other attorney generals, normally we're in a lot more contact, but I think most of us are so busy with our own states trying to deal with running our offices remotely, but also trying to deal with all the challenges that we have with this issue. I think many of us have our hands full just focusing on our own states right now.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. It's difficult running an operation remotely where you've got people spread out all over the place. I'm experiencing that myself, so it is a challenge. But I certainly would encourage other states to look at Texas as a model and how you have, as I said, threaded the needle between the health and safety of the people of Texas and this fundamental freedom recognized not only by our Constitution, but by the Texas Constitution as well.
Yeah, it's great having a governor that cares about those issues. He when we came out with the essential guidelines, when he came out with one of his very first orders, he had the 16 that were from the federal government, and he added churches as the 17th essential business. He called it essential business. And so from the very beginning, he highlighted the importance of churches and synagogues and places of worship as essential to our state.
So, Attorney General, before I let you go, I know we've got a lot of stations in Texas, and for those that may not have yet seen your guidance or read your press release, what's your message to the churches there in the state of Texas?
I would encourage them to go on our website, texasoeg.gov.tx, and look at the guidelines. I think they'll really help. And then our office is open. You can call our office, and we'll help guide you through those guidelines if you feel like you have questions or just need a little help.
I mean, you really do. The administration, you, the governor, see churches not as competitors, but as partners in dealing with and responding to the issues in communities across the state.
No, there's no doubt. And the pastors that I've been connected to, and the spiritual leaders that I've been connected to across our state, I mean, they're really important to leading us out of this really horrific virus and the consequences that it has on people's lives that are going to, some of them, be very long lasting. So we need them. We need them to be engaged. We want them to continue to help people. And so we don't want to do anything to discourage that.
Well, we appreciate that greatly. Attorney General Ken Paxton of the Lone Star State, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for what you do.
All right, thank you.